And look, this policy will be very popular with the public, who get fed up with higher and higher fares every year and a service which we know is sort of, creaking at the seams right now. But is public ownership the solution? Because a lot of people would argue that actually the so-called privatisation of the railways, we kind of got the worst of privatisation. We've got a load of big companies who come in, they could basically take a load of money out in profits, often for shareholders in foreign countries, and they weren't investing all of the money from fares into the railway system. But we had the worst of privatisation from that, but we didn't have the best of it because we didn't have competition. We had governments setting tariffs, we had governments basically, they're basically overseeing what, the staff on the railways can be paid. They're the ones who limit the capacity. They still, we've got Network Rail that controls in a way that the operating companies don't. You've got the worst of both sides. We've never really had proper privatisation where we could actually have competition. Is that feasibly possible on a railway where you've only got one track?
Julia, was the rest of privatisation successful? You haven't got competition in water. It's collapsed. It used to be owned by the counties and the towns. You've had record price increases in electricity and gas. The private companies will do nothing unless they're subsidised. They're not investing capital. The electricity companies and the water companies have extracted billions for shareholder profit, and the systems are collapsing because they haven't invested. The train operating companies haven't invested a penny in the railway in 30 years. We've subsidised them the whole time while they've taken approximately £10 billion out of the system in profit. So the whole thing has been a disaster. Rail track collapsed under its own incompetence. That had to be taken back. The privatisation of London Underground through Metronet and tube lines collapsed. And that was a Labour privatisation, by the way, so I'm fair-handed. Ken Livingstone had to take that back, and it cost us billions. There is no privatisation that's been successful that I can see in terms of our key infrastructure services.
Click here for Nick Robinson winding up Lee Anderson.